the minute I stepped my foot on the ground at Chichen Itza, I started to feeling like that kind of trance energy. And then my guides were like, okay, it's starting. And they actually guided me everywhere on like the tour. I did the tour of the site, but like guided on places I needed to be. They told me prayers that I needed to do, meditation, really connection, pictures that I needed to take, specific pictures of sites. And I'm starting to actually understand now. They're giving me information about like going back in the picture and the energy that is coming out of the stone at different places at Chichen Itza. But basically, I was guided the whole way. And at the end, I stopped and they say, okay, stop here. It was like in a 45-degree angle with the pyramid. And they say, okay, we're going to do an upgrade in your own energy to thank you as you came here and you did what we asked you to do. And I was, who's talking to me? And they said, we're the Mayan ancestor that used to take care of the land. And as a collective, not one person, but a collective of energy that was speaking to me.
Greetings and good day. This is The Channeled Truth. I'm your host, Thomas Leihart, and I'm a channeler myself, and I love exploring the works of Seth and Jane Roberts, Abraham Hicks, and Bashar. And with me today, we have a very special guest that is returning. He was with us for episode 11, and today he comes back to talk to us about ancestral lineage, ancestral healing, and how to connect to the ancestors. So let's give a warm welcome to Jean-François. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for receiving me again. I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. So I know you have some fantastic experiences and knowledge to share with us. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, sure. That came to me really strongly to talk about the ancestral lineage. I've been having quite a revealing experience in the past year and a half, connecting to my lineage and being contacted by them. So, and that all started in 2019 when I did a workshop, which is called Awaken the Illuminated Heart by Drunvalo Melchizedek, who's the builder of that workshop. And I had the contact in that one of the meditation we've done, one of beloved being that was passed. So I wanted to contact my father. And right away, when I had this intention, I saw him energetically coming in contact with me. And I saw him as he was when he was like 35 years old, really young, light, no suffering, no pain in his body like he had in his physical form when he passed. And most of his life, he had difficulty with his physical body. So he was in a completely different energy. And really the energy that I remember connecting to when I was young and when he was playing with me. So that was kind of a really fun, light, caring presence that he showed with. And this moment actually was the beginning of contacting my ancestral lineage. Little did I know, I didn't know what was coming. So this was the beginning where he gave me some message for me, for my mom, for my brother. And then I stayed in contact with him ever since 2019. I have to say that my relationship with him, since he's in the spirit world, is super rich. And the contact I have with him is actually much deeper than when he was in his physical incarnation. So this is one thing that I want to tell to people. If you had loved ones that passed, they're always there. They're always there in the energy, and they are different kind of ways to contact them if we gave ourselves permission to do so. And this was the permission slip for me, that specific workshop. I don't know if I had not been in that specific workshop with that permission slip, if I would have done it. But my father later on told me that he's the one who guided me to that workshop. So I was like, of course, of course, he guided me there, so I can have this contact with him, and I can start um, accepting that I can channel ancestral lineage, but I can also channel different messages coming from different entity in different dimensions, different realities. And funny enough, you are the one who actually gave me the permission slip to explore channeling, and people who were channeling, such as Seth, Bashar. And it started by Bashar for me, that I really got a connection with, and the exchange in energy. So that gave me a strong permission to explore that avenue for me. And since the last year, I think it started, we're 2020, so it started October 2022, I started to study more the First Nation, different tribes' way of living and connecting with their ancestors, and started to put some of this knowledge into practice in the three-dimensional reality. And one of the things that I've done was an altar where I meditate every single day, and I put pictures of my ancestors there to just have them in the physical world, connected to their energy. And a few weeks after I started doing that, I had my grandmother contacting me and starting to reveal her spiritual side of her life. You know, she was like a pretty reserved person, like disciplined, strict. She was really in the matter and believing in God, but not really speaking about it. And she revealed to me in a session that she was like super spiritual, and she had connection with different beings in the spiritual world, which she was getting in contact when life was super hard. She had like 10 kids, and basically they grew up on a farm and everything. Like it was a survival, you know, at the time. You know, the people needed to go work in the field, and then all the kids were raising the other kids to help. So she was telling me when she was like super tired, super fatigued, this is where she had the contact with those spiritual beings that were giving her energy and giving her direction on what to do with her life, and what to do with the kids, and what to do when important decisions were to be made. So she was directly on the right path, you know. But these are things that she never said to anyone. And then she was there revealing that to me. I was like super touched, and she told me, I'm there and I'm part of your team that are going to do healing on you personally, and on the people you get in contact with, and in energy healing, or in the body work also session, and in coaching. Because healing, I believe healing happens when we are just asking people questions, and then people go in a new perspective, and then all of a sudden something new is opening, and there's a belief that is just like kind of melting away at the same time. And then, oh, healing just happened. We call it healing, but transformation or transmutation, I like use that word.
Absolutely. That's an incredible initiation that you've experienced. And I love how you described the, seeing the spirit beings of the ancestors in these light bodies, and these bodies of, appearing at the peak of their, prime, as they might have looked in physical reality, and even better than that. That's been my experience as well when I tap into, the spirit of my father, or loved ones that have crossed, to the other side, so to speak. They're in their rainbow bodies, they're in these light bodies,
Yeah.
and they're radiating light, and they're just lighter in so many ways, not just in luminosity, but just lightheartedness, light spiritness. all the baggage and the heaviness and the density of physical reality is no longer veiling them. When I
Yeah.
contact with my father, it's like I contact to his essence, right? What I hardly ever got to feel as a child because he was so veiled and has been through such a rough time and, through so many layers of traumas and negative beliefs, he wasn't allowing himself to show that even to his children, right? But now I contacted him and it's like, oh man, you're like, I can see your essence now. Like, oh, now it's like we can relate, like we can communicate. And my communication is more vibrational. It's more by feeling tones. And so I want to bring that in
Yeah.
as well because, if people want to contact the ancestors, it's not always going to be like, oh, you're having a verbal empathic communication. Sometimes it's very much
Totally.
through feeling tones and just a loving presence comes, right? These can all be indicators of contact being made. It doesn't always have to show up in a specific way. But yes, they do guide us, like your father guided you to the workshop. We get guidance and they nudge us in those directions where we will receive the information that we need to receive and put us into those states of consciousness where we're more just receptive, not only to them, but to our own higher minds and our own guidance. So yeah, thank you for that. And I know you've done some work with some sacred sites. There's more to the story, right? So yeah, what's been happening for you?
Yeah, well, lately it's been pretty active, contacting my lineage. It started with the ancestors that I actually knew in my life, and then it unfolded into other ancestors that I never met in my life that are part of the lineage on my mom's side. And on my mom's side, we all have kind of faces that have indigenous traits in it, but we never like really got to the source. And since like with all the women's and different mixes that happened in Quebec when the French went to colonize the region, there was mostly First Nation that were there, and there has been a lot of mix. And I got my grandmother that contacted me, which are one of my indigenous lineage source, and that was really really powerful because she transmitted to me that they were medicine people that were connecting with the spiritual world, and that they use a lot of the spiritual world to help other human beings, help the planet, and help for the healing and reharmonization of the energy. And that runs in my ancestral lineage. And she told me, you are the first one since I died that is going to carry those gifts into the three-dimensional world again. And I'm here to guide you to do so. And this is part of your journey. So she basically also told me that she is the one who guided me towards doing an ayahuasca journey in 2020, where it all opened up for me and I got a lot of the bullshit I was telling myself that was keeping me in my heaviness and in more of a darkness and not taking my expansion and not owning my power. That experience for me was a big awakening, and I only did one ayahuasca journey because that's what was needed for me. But it really got me on my path and honoring my truth and who I am and releasing my shadow. And from there, I started to release a bunch of traumatic energy that was getting in the way. So she contacted me and started telling me parts of my mission here, and started to tell me also that sacred site and doing ceremonies and honoring the land and connecting with vortex of energy, this is part of my lineage. This is part of what I have in my DNA. So lately I've been receiving messages from uh, indigenous people on where different locations of sacred sites are, and to reharmonize the energy and to actually go in those places, but also to do remote reharmonization with the land. So this is unfolding. I'm right now in British Columbia in the city of Golden, and I've been instructed. And it's funny because I've been coming here for like 15 years, but always enjoying the ski hill, loving to ski, loving the mountain, loving the energy there, but like never made any link, like any spiritual link or anything of that sort. And I was guided this year. I had the information that there was a sacred site, a vortex of energy here on the mountain in Kicking Horse. And this vortex of energy is a place where there used to be a lot of ceremonies done there, but not anymore. And it needs to be reharmonized so the land is getting back into its full power. It's always a co-creation, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
always a co-creation. So like as human being, we have a super strong power of reharmonization on the land. And as a gift, the land is basically reharmonizing our own energy and upgrading our consciousness. So I had this revelation after having my first direct contact experience on sacred site at Chichen Itza in Mexico in August. I went on a trip there, and the goal was just to go relax, right? And then I go to that resort and lying on the beach, I relax, and then my guides are telling me, "You need to go to Chichen Itza." I'm like, okay, why do I need to go? You need to go to Chichen Itza, really like insisting on me going there. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna check for the tours and stuff like that. And I got on a tour, and then I'm on the bus, and I just know that I need to go to Chichen Itza. And then the actual guide, the tour guide is Mayan descended, and start to talk about the Mayan culture and start to talk about the importance of the land and all like deep teaching, ancestral teaching in a tourist bus. And he's even challenging the people in the bus, like, oh, there's two types of tourists that comes here. There's like the type of tourist that likes to take pictures, put that on Facebook, Instagram, and they just want to say they were there. And there's the other type of tourist, which is the journeyer, who comes there to be like imbued with like the culture and feel the energy and connect to what happened on these sites, and really want to understand the mystery of all these secret sites and pyramids that were built. So he said, "You know who you are." And I really loved it. But then, as he was speaking, my guides told me, "Yeah, this guide is really nice. He has a super strong vibe, but don't follow him. We're going to be guiding you on the tour here." So we were there for 2 hours. The minute I stepped my foot on the ground at Chichen Itza, I started to feeling like that kind of trance energy. And then my guides were like, okay, it's starting. And they actually guided me everywhere on like the tour. I did the tour of the site, but like guided on places I needed to be. They told me prayers that I needed to do, meditation, really connection, pictures that I needed to take, specific pictures of sites. And I'm starting to actually understand now. They're giving me information about like going back in the picture and the energy that is coming out of the stone at different places at Chichen Itza. But basically, I was guided the whole way. And at the end, I stopped, and they say, okay, stop here. It was like in a 45-degree angle with the pyramid. And they say, okay, we're going to do an upgrade in your own energy to thank you as you came here and you did what we asked you to do. And I was, who's talking to me? And they said, we're the Mayan ancestor that used to take care of the land, and as a collective, not one person, but a collective of energy that was speaking to me. And they say, well, you are chosen to do that type of work, and this is just the beginning of your journey. And we want to thank you and give you the energy of the site, so you walk out of here with a piece of this energy with you that's going to carry for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So they really made it really clear that this was part of my journey. And a few months later, I received the guidance that actually this is really part of my journey, and this is what's coming for me, taking care of the sacred sites and doing reharmonization of the energy. So also the connection with the cosmos and the planet Earth, to reharmonize the energy of the star constellation, the sun, the different planet in our solar system. So basically right now I'm training in this solar system. But they told me I was going to do other work like in other universes, but right now I'm having my wheels on the bike, and I'm just training into reharmonizing the energy with the land and with different stars. So that's where I'm at, and it's coming bit by bit. It's all the information is coming through me through different meditations uh, every day. So quite exciting, actually.
Yeah, as you're speaking, I'm getting this imagery of you connecting to Earth's sacred sites, and then like the next upgrade or several upgrades down the line, you're going to actually start to be able to connect to other planetary vortices of energies and other sacred sites and other planets. And it's just gonna you're gonna feel like these, this is where the colloquial term Stargate comes from, right? You're gonna be able to feel these telepathic connections through what we perceive as the vastness of space and connecting to other sacred sites and vortices and other planets, and just start getting a lot of downloads and information about other energies in the universe, but then linking it back into Earth and being like the antenna that pulls that information into Earth and grounds it, roots it into the Earth, so that our planet can reconnect and reharmonize with the vastness of who we are, right? Because we've been trained to believe that we're just these finite little creatures spinning on this one tiny little planet in the universe, and that we're just so limited and finite and limited in perception that we don't even know our own history, let alone the history of the universe, right? So it's powerful work, and what I'm seeing is that there's no end to it, right? And I love what you mentioned, that as soon as you act on one guidance, that's when you get the information, and that's when you get the next step, right? If you're just waiting and saying, yeah, I need to do that, or, oh yeah, I'm getting this guidance, but you're not acting on it, anybody, any of us, right? You, me, anybody listening, then it's like you're not grounding the energy, you're not using it up, and therefore more energy and information can't land yet, right? So sometimes we have to go a little bit on blind faith, so to speak, and just
Oh
be
yeah.
guided by our heart and just go, and then we get the download, right? Then we get the upgrade, and then we get the next piece of guidance, right? Do this next, right? So it's like a scavenger hunt, or following the breadcrumbs, I always like to say. But yeah, may that encourage the listeners out there, take those actions, right? If you're feeling stuck, consider, have you received guidance you haven't acted on, in the last week, last month, last year, last decade, right? So ground out that energy through action, and then more will come, and then you start getting the ball rolling, right? So that's powerful wisdom right there. And so
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm glad you're saying that, Tom, because in between all those events, I have to say that I resisted. So I have to say that I resisted, and then I had to go through some physical pain because I was not following the guidance. And at certain point, I got waked up during the night, and my higher self told me like, stop resisting, stop resisting. Why are you resisting? This is the way. This is what you are here to do. So just give yourself permission to do it. Everything's gonna be all right. And it took different intervention from my higher guidance, so I give myself permission. But when it's calling, it's not gonna stop calling.
Exactly. Yeah, and just that reminds me of what Bashar says, all pain is resistance to the natural self, right? It's because this is our soul's energy. This is who we
Yeah.
are that wants to come through us. And so when our physical mind is saying no, well, it creates resistance, right? It's not like you're getting, tortured and punished by the universe. No, it's your physical mind
No.
is doing the punishing by closing off, right? When you close off the flow, stagnation builds up, right? In Chinese medicine, we say where there's no free flow, there is pain. And where there
Yeah.
is no pain, there is free flow, right? So it's taking those actions grounds that energy into this realm. So yeah, thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, it's important because so many people that are on this journey, um, they maybe identify like physical pain as like problem they have, like physical illness. Oh, I need to take that medication. I need to do this, or I need to see like that physical therapist or that acupuncturist. But like when it's really calling, it doesn't matter what you see. It's not going to get fixed by an external person. It has to be coming from the inside, and you just unlocking that permission slip, so the energy flow. So it's not a lack of certain external treatment. It's like, go in and really be honest with yourself, open your heart and listen. What wants to be coming out of you? What are you blocking? What are you not giving yourself permission?
Yes, the best kind of treatment is the treatment that helps you to reconnect to your soul energy and unlock that flow, right? If it's treatment just to alleviate the pain, well, you're just covering up a symptom, right? But if you're, going into it to reconnect with your soul's energy and to unlock that flow and reconnect, well, that's a powerful treatment, right? And the other thing I wanted to touch into, which is really beautiful, is when you act on your passion as you are doing, going into these sacred sites, now sharing it in this video, right? You not only have given yourself permission, but you give others permission, right? Every time we really ground our soul's energy, others are observing, and it gives them permission, right? Oh, if he can do it, if she can do it, maybe I can do it too, right? And it just reverberates, not only because of the work you're doing, because you're opening up, but because of how others are observing, the permission radiates out, and they say, well, let me tap into that, let me follow my guidance and see what happens, right? And it just ripples out, and it's like you're changing reality. It's powerful, powerful medicine.
It is. It is. I think it's the biggest. It's the most powerful medicine. I believe it's the most powerful medicine that's in us.
Absolutely. Reconnecting to the soul, and the soul energy is where animation and life comes from, right? That's what animates this physical frame, right? So when we reconnect to that, that's when we connect to its source energy, right? That can
Yeah.
change and move and transform anything, right? And of course, it's got to be in alignment with the theme the soul chose to explore,
Yeah.
because there are certain limitations. Just by definition, being physical is it's a process of limitation, which is being used in a positive way by the soul, right? But when we say yes to that soul energy, we give ourselves permission to let go of all that resistance that is there to be let go of, so we can shine in our full radiance within whatever theme we chose to explore in that life. So yeah, it's absolutely powerful. This is where true healing really comes from.
Yeah, and this connects really back to the ancestors, because our ancestors are there to help us to unfold that soul energy. They know exactly what is our soul energy and what is um, wanting to be manifesting at every moment in our life. So they're kind of like rooting for us, like they're kind of cheering for us in the spiritual world, like, let's go do it, do that, I'm with you. And if we're not aware that we have this team behind us, we might feel alone, we might feel lonely, we might feel out of sync, we might think that we're imagining all of this, as I certainly was there at a certain point. And now I feel so much supported by my lineage. And talking about that, there's a meditation that we will share as an extra to this episode to connect to your lineage. If you never connected to your lineage, it's going to be a meditation to help you open your heart to receive the love of your lineage. And it's pretty special. It's a pretty special experience. I've been instructed that meditation by one of my ancestors to share with humanity, so they can connect back with your own heart. You can connect back with the heart of all your ancestors that walked on the land before you. Because for me to be here, there are hundreds of ancestors that actually walked before me and endured a bunch of stuff and transcended a lot of limitation, and still gave me some baggage, to work with to help my lineage as well, and to get rid of. But they know what it is to be a human being incarnated. They know how hard it is, but they know how beautiful it is as well. So they can really be of support because they walk this land. It's not like connecting with Archangel Michael, who's like never been a human incarnated person, but is there as an energy. But the guidance is not going to be the same. I find that with the ancestors, they're really caring in a human way, which is different than a caring entity in a dimension that never been in the three-dimensional dimension. It's much broader, much more expansive caring. But here, like the caring of like a mom to a son, or like a friend to another friend, it's a special energy. It's a different energy. I don't know if you are experiencing that to that level, experiencing like love at different levels.
Yeah, no, I love that you touched into that because it is different. The extra dimensional entities have a certain flavor and they therefore can bring in through a certain kind of knowledge and experience and wisdom, right? The extraterrestrial entities that are physically focused but in other portions of the multiverse, they have a unique perspective, right? The angelic realm, if you will, for lack
Yeah.
of better words, that's a different perspective. And then your ancestors, that's a very unique perspective because there is a continuity there that, of course, we create the continuity from this moment here, right? But it's a differential energy difference, right? And that quality, like you talked about, this illusion of being alone. And, if we want to be alone, we can have the experience of being alone. But
Yeah.
the quality of loneliness, right, as a feeling like I am disconnected, you start seeing that's such an illusion, right? Because, the veils are getting thinner, as we say colloquially, as we go into the age of awakening and we raise our frequency, we become closer and closer to spiritual frequency, and these contacts, they are there. And now we can open up to that. Like I said with my father, one evening, all of a sudden, I drop into his frequency and there's contact, and it's beautiful, right? It's like, I'm not alone, right? I can choose to be alone if I want to meditate and feel my own energy, right? But as soon as I want to make contact, boom, it's like, there's so much to connect to. So that's beautiful for anyone feeling that sense of loneliness. There are entities and beings and ancestors just waiting for that contact and for you to raise your frequency and to have that touching experience and to have a communication where you get a lot of information. Like for me, I could have done years of therapy, and I have done therapy, right? I'm not ashamed of that at all, right? But then just that contact with the spirit version of my father and just seeing how dense and difficult his life was, but how his true essence truly is. It's like instantaneous healing that could take hours to unravel, through other means, right? Because we make these heartfelt contacts, and you shift in an instant. So it's powerful medicine. So yeah, thank you for bringing that in as well.
It's really powerful medicine. Yeah, and it's accessible to anyone. That's the other thing. So don't believe it's not accessible for you if you are believing that right now as we're speaking about this. It is accessible for anyone, but you must give yourself permission to, okay, yes, it is possible for me. Okay, let's venture with it. Let's experiment and see what happens, and going without without expectation of the outcome and how it's going to look like. Again, like, don't expect for them to talk to you. Maybe it's going to be a sign. Maybe it's going to be something that you're going to have later from another human being. The message is going to go through another human being, or any type of different signs that could happen in your daily life. Don't think that because you haven't heard them in your mind, or you haven't necessarily felt something that is groundbreaking, that nothing is happening. That's also a way to block the message from coming.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because there are some, well, first of all, spirit contact often works through synchronicity, right? It's not going to be the classic voice in your head. It might be, right? But many of the times it's like this, it's through synchronicity. And here's an example. You hear a certain song and it touches your heart, right? You look at a creature, a hummingbird, right? And all of a sudden there's this deeper level of resonance, and all of a sudden you feel contact. Physical mind sometimes talks us out of these experiences, right? But just
Yeah.
pay attention to that, right? You're in a bookstore and a certain book just kind of quote unquote jumps out at you, right? Or you have a certain conversation and somebody says something exactly the way, one of your loved ones would say it, right?
Yes.
You get this perspective, and it's like you get these hits throughout the day, and it's through synchronicity. It might be you're watching a beautiful sunset and you feel embraced, like this warm, loving embrace coming around you like a warm
Yes.
blanket, right? Like that's how it happens, right? So let it happen in whatever way is natural for you, and don't look for a specific way that it will happen. And I guarantee you contact is being made, but it's learn to read the signs, right? Because it can be very, very subtle. So yeah, and I also want to add, if you're listening to this episode and you made it this far into the video, chances are there's a reason for that, right?
100%. 100%.
So trust the guidance, right? Where you, like you said earlier, right, Jean-François, right? You were guided to go to this workshop, right? You're guided to go on a vacation to, drink pina coladas on the beach maybe, but then you get diverted in a different direction. Trust that too, right? That guidance is coming, right? So just be open. Just be open and be curious. And as Bashar loves to say, no insistence on a particular outcome.
Totally. Totally. That is such a great advice. Like up to this day, this is what's coming to me is like the more I expect something, the less is going to happen. And the more I let the Canva blank every day when I wake up in the morning, oh, there's a new Canva in front of me and it's blank. What's going to go on it? No expectation. I'm just like, I know it's going to come to me. But that takes practice and nurturance and believing that this is possible, giving yourself permission to live that life of adventure, of manifestation, of connection with the universe, of connection with our ancestors. Uh, the connection is always there, but we block it.
Yes, and two more things I'd like to add in here is consider the portal of nature. Nature can bring us into a harmonization and a resonance where we're more likely and more keenly aware of subtle energies. And the other is quiet spaces throughout your day, and especially as you're falling asleep or waking up in the morning. If you can give yourself the opportunity to at least 1 or 2 days in the week to wake up without the blaring alarm, but to just slowly come to consciousness and just ride that wave, that golden portal where you're half awake and half asleep, that can be a time where contacts are being made. And of course, through your dreams, if you remember your dreams and write them down, that can anchor that energy in as well. So, is there anything
Totally.
else you'd love to add in here before we close out the episode?
Well, I would love to double down on nature because nature for me was a big game changer in contacting the spiritual realm and going deeper also with nature itself, with our mother that actually gave us everything we have, that nourishes us every single day, and building that reciprocity and that dialogue with the elements, with the fire, with the water, with the air, the breath of life, like we don't think about those things, but we're not grateful enough as a human race for what we're receiving from the land, which if we just remove the quality of air, we all die. Like this, in a few seconds. So just taking the time to be grateful for the elements that helps us to be in full health and helps us to have joy and live our life to the fullest. This is a practice I integrated into my life, and going in nature and thanking the tree, thanking the river, thanking the mountains, and really feel it deep inside of my heart when I do it. That has brought me a level of calm and peace inside of myself that nothing else has brought me in my life. So I just wanted to share it with the audience here, that the power of nature. And I know Pat Godin also is really strong with nature, which you had on the episode. And we had some discussion that was really thrilling about nature. But it's really a gateway to finding your true self and really sitting and being anchored in your soul energy.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've had a few episodes on nature with Patrick, with Raven as well, but also
Yeah.
some channelings I've done on connecting to nature. So yeah, and of course it's the message of the times. Like, let's
Yeah.
reconnect to the planet. The deeper you connect to the planet, the more powerfully you can connect to the multi-dimensions. So Jean-François, thank you so much for coming on this episode. This is a very important piece of the puzzle of awakening, connecting to our ancestors and also healing the ancestral traumas that they've gone through that we might carry in resonance within our physical frame. So all of that is super important. And for the viewers out there, please consider looking into that meditation that we're going to share. And I'll put the links up next to, in the video. So follow that thread and be excited where it might lead you. With curiosity and no insistence on the outcome, may this inspire you to go fully into your heart space, driving your intention deep down into the earth, into the cosmos, and also expanding into the ancestral realm, and feel their guidance, feel their love, feel their support, cheering you on. And with that, we will wish you, each and every one of you out there viewing, a beautiful, loving, and a fond good day.